When something happens on the road, almost catching a license plate doesn't count. Most dash cams look great at noon, but 80% of hit and runs happen after dark. On top of that, adding front and rear coverage usually means ripping half your interior trim apart just to manage a cluster of ugly suction cups and dangling wires. Today, we're changing that. We're installing the ManGoal Starvis 2 dual camera setup in the Maverick, 4K in the front, 2K in the rear, and a true OEM look, with zero exposed wiring. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to MavLab. It's Ryan here. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at this product that ManGoal sent over. This is a front and rear dash cam system for the Ford Maverick. It's designed to look like it's OEM, like it came with the vehicle. So let's go ahead and get into the box right here and see what all it comes with. So you take off this outer sleeve and we'll open this box up. There's nothing on the box that's inside. And once we slide that top off, we should be able to see the instruction manual as well as a few zip ties for us to use later. So we'll go ahead and we'll set that aside for right now because we're not going to be needing it, because we're just going to go ahead and look at what else is in the box. Here we have some kind of troubleshooting guides. So one of them is like if your phone's not connecting to the camera itself, we can refer back to these. And if we're not able to see the rear camera, only the front camera, we can refer to this pamphlet here. Continuing with the unboxing, the thing we have on top is going to be our rear camera. So this is going to allow us to have video coming out the back of our vehicle. So that way, you know, if something were to happen, the camera is looking directly out the back. It doesn't have to look through the cabin like my previous camera did. It's going to give us a direct shot of what's behind the vehicle. This part does rotate, so when you put it on, you can kind of change the angle of what you want to be able to see. We'll set that aside and we'll keep going here. The next thing in the box is going to be our kind of just tools and kit. So in this little bag, we do have our splitter, our mount. So this is the mount that mounts the camera to the vehicle, makes it look OEM. So we'll go ahead and set that aside. Here's our splitter. So this will take power from our Copilot 360 camera system in the Ford Maverick and split it to go to the camera, as well as our dash cam. So that way we retain our lane assist functionality and the Copilot 360. And here is a plastic trim removal tool. We use this a little bit to help us organize the wires. The other things in this bag, we have a couple of Allen keys to help us take out some screws that we're going to need to. It's actually only one screw, but we have two different sizes here because Ford has a different size screw than the one that we're putting in. Here are the screws that I was referring to just then. So these are going to take the bigger Allen key. And then we have our 128 gigabyte micro SD card that will go on the side of the camera. Next in the box, we have our GPS. So this is just going to allow the camera to kind of pinpoint where we are. It'll put GPS information on the overlay whenever we're recording footage. And it just helps, you know, in terms of, it shows you like where you're driving, gives you GPS coordinates so you can refer back to later when you're reviewing the recording. This is designed to be stuck to the inside of your vehicle in plain view, so that way the GPS up in the sky can actually see it. The last little bit here is we actually have the main camera unit here. So this is the part that will go in the front of the vehicle, has all your connectors for the rear camera, power, and GPS, as well as it has that same lens cover that we saw on the rear camera. So this is what it looks like. You have two buttons right here. One is the power button, and the second is the like capture a photo button. And like I said, here are all the cables coming out of the back of it. There's where you're going to put in your SD card, so that way you can record footage to the SD card. You can get the footage via wirelessly though, through your phone, and I'll show you that app here in a second. Other than that, there's not really anything else in the box, so let's move on. Okay, so the first thing I kind of want to show here is my current dash cam, because I actually already currently have one. It's about 5 years old actually. I bought it at Best Buy when I worked there. I think I paid about $60 for it. But let's go ahead and just take a look and see how the video quality on that looks, the features that it gives me, and you know, just we'll compare it to the new dash cam. So a couple of differences between my older dash cam and the newer one. The older one, it has a G-force sensor, so if you were to go in an accident, it can tell and start, emergency recording. This new one has that as well. My current one also has a cab-facing camera, which the new one does not. It has an actual rear-facing camera outside the back of the vehicle, so that way if someone does rear-end you, it's a little bit clearer than getting it from a in-cab camera. My current camera is a 1080p camera with a 720p rear-facing cab camera, while the new one is a 4K camera with a 2K rear-facing camera. Like I said, it's not in the cab; it sticks on the back window of my truck. So that's another main difference. The new one also supports the one from ManGoal. It supports GPS coordinates. So it'll actually show your GPS coordinates at the bottom of the recorded frame. So that way you can kind of tell where you were at while you're driving. To get some footage off of my current dash cam, I actually have to rip out the SD card, bring it over to my laptop, and ingest that footage. With the new one, I can actually just connect my phone to the camera's hotspot. It doesn't provide any sort of data or anything, but it does allow me to connect to the camera and download the videos directly from there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at my current camera and see how it looks. And then once we get the new one installed, we'll take a look at how that looks as well. Okay, so we're driving around town. It's daytime. There's a storm off in the distance, but the lighting is pretty much what I would call nominal for using this dash cam. As you can see, it's still a little loose. I'm not going to fix that because I'm going to install the new one. Okay, so we're getting into some rain here. We're driving actually into a severe storm right now. I don't know if I can get us some comparative footage when I install the new OEM style one because I can't control the rain. But hopefully we can take some footage from this and kind of show you what it looks like, when it's a little bit darker, maybe in the rain, and how the image quality is on this older style dash cam that I have here. So I'll go ahead and just let it play for a little bit so that way you can kind of see exactly what that looks like. So I wanted to show a bit of the cabin-facing camera as well, just to kind of show you what that looks like on the camera I currently have. The new one, like I said, doesn't have a cabin-facing camera. It only has the one that shoots out the rear, which I actually prefer. If you only want a cabin-facing camera, really, if you're doing like Uber or Lyft, and I don't really do that, so I don't really need the cabin-facing camera. But I just thought I'd show it anyway because my previous one and current one have it, but the new one from ManGoal does not. So here's what that looks like. Another thing I wanted to go ahead and show from the current camera is the nighttime driving. As you can see here, it's not the best. If someone were to run a red light and hit me, or something very obvious like that, yes, it would work, but I'm not reading any license plates with this camera. So I just thought I'd show you kind of what it looks like at night. This is coming off the highway and approaching a red light. You can still see most of what's going on, but like I said, for license plates, it's going to be really hard to read them. So I'm hoping the new camera, it's a lot easier to read them at night, but we'll find out together. And of course, the whole reason I have a dash cam, the reason that I'm even making this video and advocating for people to get dash cams is my own experience. So this was a couple years ago in my expedition that I used to have, and as you can see here, I get a green arrow to turn, and I'm assuming this car coming in the opposite direction is going to stop because they have a red light, and they just don't, and we end up colliding. Unfortunately, it did total my vehicle, totaled their vehicle as well. Was a bad situation all around. Luckily, no one was hurt. She just, fell asleep after getting off a long shift. So no blame to them. It happens. But this is super important to get a dash cam because, they could have easily said that I ran the red when I now have proof that I had a green arrow.
It's done me pretty well. I mean, it has pretty good picture quality for what I paid for it. Like I said a couple of years ago, it was 60 bucks. And it's gotten me through some, unfortunately an accident. I'd use it for insurance, and it was good enough for that. I'm very excited to see what this OEM style one looks like. The picture quality on it, as well as just all the different features. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into the install of that guy, and then we'll come back to this camera when we do some kind of side-by-side comparisons.
All right, so the first thing that we need to do before we even install the new dash camera is we need to go ahead and remove this old one. This is one I've had for quite a long time. It's done me very well. We've already talked about it a little bit, but let's go ahead and get that removed. And then we'll have to remove that side piece as well, because I do have it running down to the fuse box down here. But for right now, that's all we have to remove it to. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do to put this new dash cam in is we're going to have to remove this original screw right here. That's part of the front, rear view mirror. So let's go ahead and do that. Cool. We'll take that out, set that aside for right now. We're not going to be reusing it, but we don't want to lose it either, just in case we want to take this mod back off. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our bracket that came with the camera, as well as find our screws that came with the kit as well. I'm going to grab the smaller screw, and what we're going to do is we're going to slide this bracket over where that goes in, just like that. And looking through this hole right here, I can actually see the threads, so I'm going to start hand tightening this. Cool, got that hand tightened. Come back with the Allen key, and actually you need the other Allen key now. It does come with both the Allen keys you need to do this mod. So we're going to tighten that back up. That should tighten up your rear view mirror as well. This is now in place. Perfect. Now what we're going to want to do is go ahead and grab our camera. And this just push fits onto the mount itself. So if we go ahead and do that, it just kind of snaps into place. And now we can start wiring it up. Okay, so looking up here, I do have the AC on right now because it is a little warm out here. We have to take our pry tool and we're going to go ahead and pry at this black cover here. There's a clip up here that I went ahead and just took off. And there's another one on this side. We're going to slide this in there. And there's a clip we have to release. There we go. And then we can kind of slide this section out of the way. So once we have that, I'll kind of take you to this side so you can see a little bit better. That's what the inside looks like. So this is going to be our actual Copilot 360 camera for the lane assist and everything. What we're going to want to do is we're actually taking the power from this and using it to power this so by using this splitter right here. So this wire is now going to go ahead and connect into here. And then this is going to go to our 360 camera. this is going to go to our dash camera. Alrighty, so I've turned the vehicle back off so that way we don't mess up any of the electrical connections. That cable that I was pointing to is right here, so we're going to go ahead and remove that from our Copilot 360. There's that cable right there. We'll plug it into this adapter. Boom, there we go. And then now that splits it into two. So this one goes back into our 360 camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug that back in. And this side goes to our camera power. So that's this connector right here. We'll just go ahead and connect those two, just like so. And that is all we need for up here. Unless you want to go ahead and wire your rear camera, if you purchase the unit that has both, you can run that through here as well. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it in the headrest up here so I can patch into it later. So we'll leave that there. And then we also have our GPS cable as well that I'm gonna route through here as well. That way it all stays all nice and clean looking. For that one, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it also into the headliner. It might be useful to use your pry tool to do this as well. That way you can get kind of behind there. And just so it stays out of the way, I'm just going to put it up there. Once we have everything we need done in here, we can go ahead and line up our cables how we want them. Kind of just shove them out of the way. And we can go ahead and put this back on there. And then we just want to make sure that we line up our tabs so that way those still work and hold this plastic piece in. So right now it's not in all the way. I'm gonna turn the vehicle back on in here because it's getting really hot. But we now should have power to our dash cam, which I just heard turn on, as well as still have access to our Copilot 360 driving assist camera. Alrighty, so we have that installed. So that's what that looks like there. We have this cable coming out here that's going to be for our rear camera that we're going to go ahead and find a place for now. Then what we're going to have to do is going to go ahead and remove these kind of weather seals temporarily so that way we can run the cable for this and it connects right back up here. We'll also run it under this headliner as well. So let's go ahead and get started on finding a place for this guy. So I have the sliding rear window here. So I'm actually not going to put it right here. I'm actually going to put it kind of, let's see, I need to figure out which way it slides. I believe it slides that way, but whichever side it slides, we're going to put it on the opposite side so that way this doesn't run into it. So let me go ahead and test that right now and we'll see which way it slides. Okay, so it slides to the passenger side, so we're good to go ahead and put it here. This will be approximately the view that the camera sees, which should be good enough for what I need it for. Okay, so we've got it mounted right there. It just has some 3M tape on the back, some double-sided adhesive, so I went ahead and cleaned the window off right there and stuck this guy on. So it's basically in the middle, but since this moves, I didn't want to put it on there. So now we can go ahead and route the cable all the way up there to plug in right there. All right, so for example, right here, this weather trim pops out pretty easily and pops back in pretty easily. So I just used this right here. I stuck it under there, kind of pried it out a little bit. And now that I have a little bit out, I can kind of head and pull just some more of this out. So that way I can get to under the headliner here. That's where we're gonna run our cable for the camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab our cable and we'll feed it through here. Okay, so to start feeding our camera, I'm simply gonna run this up here and kind of shove it in between the headliner and this plastic trim piece to hold it. Perfect. So now the only bit of cable exposed is this tiny little bit that goes over here. And of course we can adjust how much comes out by pulling on that. And now there's even less. So I'm fine with that. That's clean enough for me. If we come back out here, now I can feed it behind the headliner. So I've got it basically all the way to as far as I can put it over here. This is going to be kind of a tricky part, so that way we don't have to remove this whole plastic piece. I'm going to show you what you can do to kind of get around that. But first things we need to do is we need to go up to our driver's side or passenger side, whichever side you ended up doing this on, and we'll go ahead and remove the weather stripping here as well, just temporarily. You can use your hands or that pry bar. We're just going to remove this. Just be very careful. These are airbags, so I would highly recommend disconnecting your battery while you work on this. So, here is where our other cable ends. And like I said, we kind of have two options here. We can either remove this whole piece where there's an airbag in there, or we can try and fish it through there. The thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually run it up here, as you can see, kind of like what we did for this back one where you can't see it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back to y'all. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be doing. So I just pry this back a little bit, and I'm just kind of feeding it into here. That way I'm not getting in the way of the airbags or anything. And then when I release this, and of course once I thread that properly, it's going to look like nothing even is here. Now that I'm done with this section, I'm going to go ahead and fix our weather trim here just by pushing it back in. And boom, it's like we never even touched it. All right, so let's move back to the driver's seat. So now we're back all the way over here. We have our weather trim kind of out of the way. Let's go ahead and finish routing this cable. So we'll hook it back over here, back into the headboard, and I'm going to set my phone down so I can untangle this a little bit. Okay, so I've got it routed all through the headboard up here, and it comes out right here. And now I'm just going to go ahead and kind of push it in between these two pieces of trim so I can run it along the top of the headboard here and connect to this part of the cable. As you can see, I still have quite a bit of cable left, so I'm actually going to go back and kind of tuck the cable in where I don't need as much, at the end, because I think they use the same rear camera for all their vehicles. So if you're using this in a Maverick, you're gonna have extra, and you're gonna, want to figure out where to put this extra cable. You can feed it up into the headboard if you want to. That's what I might do, but just, be aware you're gonna have a lot of extra cable if you just go ahead and, not store it someplace along the way until you get up here. And here's what I mean by you can kind of store quite a bit in the headboard if you, get to that point. So I went ahead and put a little bit up there, and you can fit quite a bit up there if you have a little bit extra, but I have way too much extra, so I actually have to go back and store it in some other places. Okay, so I was able to shorten it up quite a bit. This is about all much I have left, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to shove this in here and seal this back up. Alrighty, perfect. And this is what it looks like at the end. I'm still not done putting the GPS one in. I'll have to do it here in a second. But in terms of installing the rear camera, I have the front camera in. It's connected to the rear camera. Throughout all this, we want to go ahead and replace our weather stripping. I can see the cable in there. So we'll go ahead and do that. That seals it all in. Can't even tell that we messed with that. Same thing for back here. It's going around there and coming out again right there. Alrighty, so I'm going to run my GPS. I'm going to put it kind of over here because I don't really use this corner a whole lot, but I want to be able to use the actual GPS of it. So I went ahead and popped out this trim piece. Just be careful again because, these are airbags, so make sure your vehicle's off, make sure the battery's disconnected. We're going to run that GPS cable through here and then connect it back up here where this connector is. All right, so first things first, I'm going to grab our little GPS guy. I'm going to peel off the double-sided adhesive that's on the back here. Might take you a few tries. Took me a few tries on that last one. And I'm going to go ahead and stick it right there. Out of the way, but still readable by any sort of, satellite or anything. For the cable, we're going to go ahead and undo the cable. Tie holding it down, or holding it together, I should say. And we'll undo the cable. And we'll go ahead and start feeding it down the back here. So that looks good to me. Down there, I can show you what it looks like over here. It's going to be hidden behind this pillar here. And I'm going to run it up kind of how we did the other cable through here so it can connect over here. Alrighty, so we have our GPS over there. The cable's running up through here. It's behind the headboard. And I see a little bit of tags here, but I can just shove those back up. Perfect, can't even see it. Here's our dash cam. This is just a toll sticker that's going behind there. It's fine. But when you're actually in here, it's hard to tell that I've even done anything to this truck. Maybe besides the fact that back there's that camera there. If I wanted to, I could run it in the headboard back there as well. But in this case, I'm not too concerned about it. Alrighty, so everything's installed now. We have the camera. We have the GPS in the corner over there. I might move that because I can still see the cable and I don't really like that, so I might twist it a little bit. We have the camera in the back. Let's see how it looks on our app. The last thing we actually really need to do is put the TF card in here, or the micro SD card, depending on where you're from. And then that will start recording the video. But let's go ahead and go into the app and see about the settings for this. So the app that we use to control this camera is called Skycam, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so here we are in the app. What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and click on Add Camera. What that's going to do is it's going to give us some instructions like, hey, make sure your car's on. Make sure you have the right Wi-Fi selected. In my case, I actually had an issue connecting to it because I have a wireless CarPlay adapter, and that was not letting me connect to it. So what I ended up having to do, you can see my wireless CarPlay adapter. It's called like Auto 35DA. I just turned my Wi-Fi off, turned it back on. I unplugged the wireless CarPlay adapter, which helped out a lot. But what we're looking for is something that begins with Wi-Fi and then underscore and then a couple of numbers. So you can see it there at the very bottom. I'm going to click on that. The default password for these is just 12345678. Once we type that in, we can click join. We're now connected to that network. And if I go back to the app here, it's going to find that camera and I can actually view the camera feed. Right now, I still left the lens protector on the actual main camera, but I took it off the rear camera, so that's why we're not really seeing a picture there except for the rear camera. I go ahead and fix that here in a little bit. So here you can see what the actual camera looks like when you boot it up for the first time. So I have information about which direction I'm going, the speed I'm going, my elevation, all of that fun stuff, and that's coming from the actual GPS part of the camera that we installed on the windshield there. To get into the camera settings, all we have to do is click on the settings cog at the very bottom. That's going to bring up this page right here, and I'm going to instantly change it from 4K in the front to 2K 60 in the front and then 2K in the rear. Just to save a little bit of storage on my SD card, I'm also going to change it to 3-minute recordings times. That way I don't have a bunch of 1-minute clips. I like the 3 minutes a little bit better. Here's a view of all the settings you can change, including the Wi-Fi password if you don't want anyone else to be able to connect to this. You can change that here. Unfortunately, from what I've seen, you can't change the name of the actual Wi-Fi that it's presenting. Here I'm going to go ahead and change the collision sensing. So we change that from off to medium. That's that G-force I was talking about, where if you do get an impact, it will automatically save the recording as an emergency. All right, and here is the view from the front camera. Now this is just an image, but I'll show you some driving around here in a second. But I just wanted to show you this, that way you can kind of get a sense of what it looks like once you install the camera. And here's a quick demo of the front-facing camera while I'm actually using it and driving. So as you can see in the bottom, it has the date and the time of when I was driving, the GPS coordinates if you really wanted to look at where I was, as well as my current speed based off the GPS. So pretty good camera quality. Like I said, I switched it to the 2K 60. This video isn't recorded in, or excuse me, the video is recorded in 60 frames per second, but this video is not being uploaded in 60 frames per second because of my other shots. It's locked to 24 or 30, one of those two. But you can kind of get a sense of what this camera looks like while you're driving. It's quite a bit better than the other dash cam that I had previously, and it looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and show the back camera here in a second as well, if you wanted to see what that looked like. But it's going to be the same picture quality because it's using the same lens as well as the same like image diode, that Starvis 2 from Sony. Okay, so here is a view out the rear camera of the unit. So I think it looks actually really good. In my opinion, it looks kind of better than the front camera. Maybe that's just because I have to clean my windshield. Might be a little dirty. As you can see at the bottom, it does show you the date and time of when this was recorded. It doesn't show the GPS kind of like the coordinates like the front camera does, but if you do want to add those, you can add what are called watermarks. So watermarks are these two icons here. So you can see the direction that we're traveling. So southeast, I'm not sure why it says east-south, but you know, there we go. But it gives you the cardinal direction plus the compass coordinates of like where you're facing, as well as your speed on the right side. One thing I will mention, and I'll actually reach out to ManGoal to see if this is fixable as well. It's one of the main concerns I have with this dash camera. It looks great. The only thing that I find concerning is the fact that the camera is either so zoomed in or it's aimed primarily at the hood. So I actually have the camera right now propped a little bit, not fully on its mount, to see more of where I'm driving. By default, most of the screen is actually the hood, and when you're pulled up to a stoplight, you can't even see the stoplight. And that's super important for me, just because, like I mentioned earlier, that accident I was in, I needed to have the stoplight to prove my innocence. And if I can't see that in my dashcam footage, then to me, it's not a very useful dashcam. So like I said, right here, it's fine. It's still, you know, my hood's taking about 50, maybe 40% of the screen because I have it propped. But when it's actually secured in its correct position, most of the actual footage is just of your hood. As I mentioned, this is the default view for the front camera, which in my opinion is kind of unacceptable for a dash cam. I don't need to be staring at my hood. You know, it's taking up 60% of the screen. And just to kind of show you, I'll compare it to my cheap $60 dash cam that I've had forever. So for example, here's a transition between the two cameras. This is taken from the same parking spot even, and you can see it's a night and day difference. If I go ahead and make it full opacity, you can see what I mean here. Like, I can see so much more with my old dash cam, and it's so much more useful. It's just, you know, it's a worse quality than the newer one, and it doesn't look OEM, and it was falling apart, and I had to 3D print brackets to hold in place because it's super hot here, and it's just not what I thought it would be. Some other Maverick users have experienced this as well, and they've designed 3D printable shims you can put in place. But you know, it's too hot here for that, and it just melts. I've actually already tried that. I might have a video coming on that in the future because I am moving up somewhere more, you know, north, and it is going to be a lot cooler. And for those who are in cooler climates, it might work for them, but for me, it just doesn't. So I'm not even kidding here. While editing this video, ManGoal did get back to me on the fact that the mount is aimed more at the hood. Actually, while I was editing this section of the video, which is kind of funny, and they did let me know that they are working on a fix and an update for this. Some of the later 2022 to 2024 model, it's the same model of Maverick, but they changed the mold to actually hold on the rear view mirror. So that makes the angle of the camera look more down. And that's really my only complaint with this camera, is that, you know, that front camera is aimed down too low. Other than that, like I've said so far, like I'm actually really enjoying this camera and the features it has to offer over my previous, like, older dash cam. I do know, however, that the newer 2025, 2026, at the time of recording this at least, Ford Mavericks, for the Model B, you know, the 25 to 26 as of the time of recording this at least, that they sell for those models do fit correctly and look great. I have a couple buddies who drive Ford Mavericks that I've met on the Ford Maverick forums, and they're the ones who actually told me this information. This isn't being told me from ManGoal. These are some actual customers who had bought the 2025, 2026 models of their cameras and say they actually fit and look great. And like I said, even the model of the camera that I bought, it's just the mount that's weird. And that's why they have shims that you can print to actually fix this issue. And that's why ManGoal is actually working on a redesigned mount for these different model rear view mirrors to fix this issue. Everything in terms of the camera, the rear camera, the GPS tracking. I say tracking; it just tracks, for the video. All that is awesome. It looks great. And like I said, I'm in the 2K mode, so the front camera can look even better in 4K as long as you're willing to give up a little bit more of your storage space. So in summary, I actually really do like this camera system that ManGoal has sent me here, and I think it's going to turn out really good. I just wish that that mount had already been figured out. That's a really big downside to this. Once they get that figured out and they send over the revised mounting system for the camera, I think this thing will be almost unbeatable. Just because of the camera quality, the features that you get in the app. Like I said, I put over that like watermark sort of overlay to show you your cardinal direction and your speed. The license plates are like way more visible than on my last camera. And then during nighttime, I didn't show any nighttime here because I've only had it for one day. I'll be sure to post a follow-up video on this as well, like I'm planning on doing with a lot of my different mods that shows the nighttime video from the two cameras. But the nighttime looks a lot better as well. So I'm excited to see how this camera system lasts. I'll let you know if I have any issues with it besides what I've already described, and I will see y'all later. One more thing, just before I go, we're actually sitting right now at 95 subscribers. We are so close to 100, and I could really appreciate your help. If you're stumbling upon this video and you find it interesting, if you don't mind, I don't usually ask this, but if you could hit that subscribe button and maybe like the video as well to have it reach more people, that'd be greatly appreciated. My name's Ryan, and this has been MavLab.
To account for his rise to the top, man, the man is non-stop. Gentlemen of the jury, I'm curious.